the live stream. Welcome back to Rabbit Hole Recap. A day early this week and a day early next week. Matt and I were just discussing. We were discussing how disgusted we are that we have to do this Wednesday 2 weeks in a row.
Wednesdays are good days.
Wednesdays are good days. Yeah, it's not Bitcoin Tuesday. It's not Thursday. I just like Thursday because it feels like there's like a nice news build up. Everybody announces everything right after.
Yeah, we trained all the projects to announce before the Thursday rips.
Yeah, no,
Thursdays are definitely ideal, but the most important thing is that we get them out every week, I think. So.
Agreed.
And there's going to be no dispatch on Tuesday either, for what it's worth.
What?
We'll return back to our scheduled programming the week after that.
Yeah, I'm all out of wax here. Right before we went on, when we went live and started recording, my browser on my computer that I use to check everything just stopped working. Brave apparently doesn't work with the latest version of Mac OS, I guess. I just can't use Brave. Maybe I need to download a new version of Brave. I'm not sure what's going on. And then before that, let's talk a little life here. I had an hour and a half session with a prospective daycare for my son. This is intense. The competition to get children into daycare, let alone school, in the Austin area seems to be pretty insane.
First, it's hard for you to get them in the ones you want to get them.
Yeah, like even to get on list, or they're calling them pools now, not list.
Well, just hope they don't listen to the podcast.
That's literally that's what I wanted to bring up. I'm like, fuck, these people are not like, they're not going to pick up when I'm putting down on the airwaves, I don't think. And I hope they don't find the airwaves.
Well, like the host of Jeopardy got canned because like 8 years previously, on a podcast, he said a bunch of comments. And I just immediately, I was like, fuck, man. Like I don't know. We're not going to be ever hold a normie job. We're going to have trouble with daycare. We're going to have trouble with private schools until we pass, hyper Bitcoinization, then it'll be a positive.
Hey, I found my way onto a board of a publicly traded company somehow, despite all this.
There you go. That's the part you mentioned at the interview.
Yes, I'm on a board. Please allow my son to be educated within your walls. It's intense, man. This is like, it's a weird, I guess I'm learning. I'm a new parent, relatively new.
How is there? I thought Austin was supposed to be the Bitcoin city. How's there not like a Bitcoiner run daycare over there?
Well, it's not a daycare and it's not really Bitcoiner run, but there is a very, I don't want to say prestigious school, but a school with a curriculum that I think we would like. That I believe they follow the path of Alexander the Great, and attempt to teach children using that structure that Alexander the Great followed. And I don't think they have grades or anything. I think as soon as your child can start reading, they can get into that.
As soon as your child starts conquering small countries, they've graduated.
Yeah. I think
that sounds awesome.
I hear a lot of Bitcoiners are sending their school there. Their kids there. It's early.
If you're a Bitcoiner in the Austin area and you want to stack some sats, consider running a daycare.
Right? That's what I'm thinking. I was like, shit, man. Luckily, it's my wife doing a lot of the forward facing conversations with these people. Hopefully I can hide in the background and sneak our way in. Once we're in, then I'm just going to start orange pilling people. Aggressive. That was personal talk. Where are you today? Is it a different Airbnb?
It is a different Airbnb.
You don't have an ornate mirror behind you with.
I have a better view in this direction, but
it is a good view. It would dock.
I'm looking at the water.
Yeah, it's beautiful where you are.
That nomad lifestyle.
Where do we start today? We should probably start at Clark's dashboard, but like I said, my browser is not working, so I don't have any of my bookmarks. So I have to Google this real quick. Clark Moody dashboard. The current price of Bitcoin is $43,305. Little dip this week, freaks.
Just a little bit, just a small 12% a day.
just a small dip. Maybe we'll start with that after we get past the dashboard. One cuck buck's going to get you 2,309 sats. The current market cap of Bitcoin, if that's even a metric we want to follow. I don't know what the White Claw metric is. Clark hasn't added it to the dashboard yet.
What the fuck, Clark?
Currently,
it's been a week.
815.1 billion cuck bucks is the market cap of Bitcoin. We are 33.2% below the all-time high of $64,840. We're currently at block height 701,708. Oh, we're 7 blocks away from 701, 701. Not significant.
I love how they're just all arbitrary numbers. We can celebrate a different one every week.
Right. We had 701, 701 earlier today, freaks. Go celebrate. We're currently... We had a difficulty adjustment yesterday, I believe. Yeah, we're 1,008, and it was an upward adjustment of 3.2%. That is because blocks were coming in at 9 minutes and 46 seconds on average, which is 14 seconds quicker than the 10-minute block production target. Currently, obviously, it's very early on in this difficulty epoch. We're 1,876 blocks away from the next adjustment, and currently that adjustment's estimated to be negative 10.9%. Blocks have been coming in at 11 minutes and 13 seconds on average since the adjustment yesterday. Take that number, 10.9% downward difficulty adjustment, the grain of salt. Obviously, the estimates close to the last adjustment sort of skew or don't paint
the closer it is, the less accurate the estimation is.
Yes. So we're only 100.
I'd be very surprised if we had double-digit difficulty down adjustment.
Yeah, we're 130 blocks away from yesterday's adjustment, so it's not even a day's worth of data. What else? Where are we here? There are 5,922 transactions in Clark's mempool. It's not a lot. It's a third of what it has been the last few weeks. 1 sat per byte transactions are going to get through. And Samurai, I think this is like exactly static week on week. 4,096.61 BTC in unspent capacity.
They hit the all-time high this week.
Did they?
Yeah. I don't know if it dropped back down.
Certainly in sats. Probably not in cuck bucks.
Oh yeah, not in fiat, in Bitcoin.
Cuck bucks, it's 177.5 million cuck bucks locked up in unspent capacity. Yeah, we had a big correction this week. Looks like there is something going on in the Chinese real estate market. I'm sure many of you freaks are aware. At this point in time, I don't believe it's the largest. I believe it's one of the top 3, Evergrande. I don't know how to pronounce it. I've only read it. I haven't heard people talk. I haven't watched any of the news on it. But the way I understand it is they have a massive debt exposure to the tune of like $300 billion. They have $300 billion in liabilities, and they are in danger of going bankrupt. They cannot pay back the loans that they've taken out to banks. They're starting to miss payments, and this is causing a mini contagion within the real estate development market, specifically within China. And the overarching question with this particular situation is the CCP going to step in and bail out this real estate development market? Are they not? If not, what are the repercussions? There's many people who believe that like Tether owns a lot of.
Yeah, what the fuck is that?
I don't know. It's like one of the.
You gotta love when our conspiracy theorists overlap.
Yeah,
it's like, of course, Tether came out and officially said they didn't own any Evergrande paper.
Just think about Just think about it. If you're one of these conspiracy theories, like why would like a Tether, which has the eyes of every regulator in the world and every conspiracy theorist who thinks it's a house of cards, if they had the money to acquire assets to underlie the Tether backing, why would they ever buy paper debt in a Chinese real estate developer?
Yeah, I mean, it was funny because like the real conspiracy has always been that they back it with Bitcoin, which I don't actually really doubt. Like that makes sense. Like if you're, running multi-billion-dollar currency and you need to back it and you have issues with the US government and banking, like Bitcoin's the ideal thing to hold. But yeah, Chinese real estate paper doesn't make much sense. Uh, I'm curious, was Evergrande exposed a lot to Hong Kong? Because I mean, the CCP like completely destroyed the most. I shouldn't be laughing. It's really a tragedy. Destroyed one of the most valuable real estate markets in the world over the last 2 years. Couldn't help.
Well, I don't think they have direct exposure. They're Shanghai or another Chinese property. I'm reading a Kyle
Yeah,
Bass.
but there was definitely Chinese investors who
I
invested
think
in Hong Kong real estate. I mean, there was
yes.
global investors that invested in Hong Kong real estate.
There a lot of nuance here. So before China took
Bingo.
over Hong Kong, obviously you can own private property in Hong Kong. In China, I don't think you're actually allowed to own private property. So there's like, I believe Evergrande is predominantly developing real estate in China and not Hong Kong. I think they might have Hong Kong exposure to Hong Kong banks and probably took out some debt from Hong Kong banks. I'm speaking out of my ass right now, but it wouldn't surprise me. It's an interesting story, right? Because I mean, these ghost cities, the stories of Chinese ghost, like this should have been this is something that you could have called from 10 miles away. Like if you understand the history of these
It's
Chinese.
been obvious, but the timing hasn't been
Yes,
obvious. Like people have
exactly.
been calling it for a while and they've been wrong because
Yeah.
it can last longer than you can stay solvent.
Yeah. So like, it has been very apparent to anybody with any sense of common sense, with any common sense for quite a while now. There's something amiss in the Chinese real estate development market. Again, they're erecting whole cities of real estate that are that nobody's going to live in. So those
Right.
are
And this is happening around the world. Just in China, it's the most extreme.
yes. I mean,
Right. Like there's like empty apartment buildings in Toronto and shit.
yeah,
But
and
in China, it's on steroids.
yeah, and if you read Boomerang by Michael Lewis, which is again, I've probably talked about this on the podcast a couple times, but just a reminder, it is Michael Lewis's most underrated book, in my opinion. He wrote The Big Short, Liar's Poker, Moneyball, a bunch of others. Boomerang is him going around the world and documenting the lead up to the 2008 financial crisis. And a very interesting part of that book is his focus on Ireland, where they had crazy ghost developments. They had a bunch of Polish immigrants coming into Ireland, building out these real estate, basically like just like housing developments, the cul-de-sacs and all that. Nobody was living in them, and then it collapsed, and all the Polish went back home. Very interesting book. Go read Boomerang if you haven't. Very easy read, very good read. And I think we're seeing some echoes of that now. And then go back to Evergrande. That's the looming question: will the Chinese government come in to bail them out, or bail out the people they've taken debt from?
Did I see today that they announced some kind of stimulus? Or
I'm not sure. I've been crazy tied up this morning, so I haven't seen that. But
one of the theories I saw that was interesting is in the case of an Evergrande bankruptcy, bondholders get paid out first, and the largest holder of Evergrande bonds is the CCP. So it's like an easy way to just let them fail, and the government takes them over.
yeah, and this is maybe this is teetering on the conspiracy theory line, but I wrote it in the Ben a couple days ago. The Wall Street Journal came out with a piece earlier this week that highlighted Xi Jinping's aim to rein in Chinese capitalism and hew to Mao's socialist vision. Xi said it's not trying to rein in a few big tech and other companies trying to roll back China's decades-long evolution toward Western-style capitalism and put the country on a different path entirely. And so I'm just seeing this story, watching Evergrande unfold, and if this is the intent of Xi Jinping and the Communist Party is to demonize capitalism and say, "Oh, Mao's vision of socialism is what we're going to strive for now. It's a much fairer system." This real estate development crash is a great sort of boogeyman to point at. Look what happened with this capitalist fervor in the real estate market. It blew out many people, and it hurt us. Capitalism's bad. They wouldn't be surprised if they let it all fail and then use it as a scapegoat to push that vision that Xi Jinping seems to be striving for right now. So that's something to keep an eye on. Again, that's me
You think most of the panic's
connecting.
bullshit?
I don't know. Well, that's like, and that's another thing I wrote in the bed. It's like hard to know how much exposure Western investors or Western investors have. Like, I don't know if it's hard to know if any large institutional investors have capital tied up in the Chinese real estate development market, in any of the particular companies involved. That's something I guess we'll find out if they are allowed to fail. You could see that ripple effect. I guess people, markets at least, are pricing that in as a slight possibility. There's still a lot unknown. I think tomorrow there's another big bank payment that's supposed to be made, and your dog's just chilling, and then Friday as well. So I think more information when we wake up tomorrow. It'll be clear exactly what's happening, what the response from the government's going to be, and the wider ramifications of a collapse in that real estate market.
The CNBC talking heads are like in full panic mode the last 2 days. I mean, my instinct tends to think like it's a little bit overblown just because we'll keep printing, and I think the Chinese don't want anything to topple right now. So, but regardless, if a macro crisis is a concern to you in terms of selling your Bitcoin and encouraging you to sell your Bitcoin, I would just say that I think that's pretty short-sighted. And if we do have, something worse than March 2020, like some kind of massive macro crisis, a la 2008, maybe bigger, I think Bitcoin might fall harder and faster than everything else in the beginning. There'll be a bit of a liquidity crisis, and then it'll correct back quicker than everything else. And long term, I think it's going to be the best performing asset, period. So my strategy is just going to be hold through the chaos and actually stack more through the chaos. Just stack sats and stay humble. And I would just add one more thing, that like if it's a true macro crisis and things get really dirty and really messy, it's going to be hard to move a large amount of money into Bitcoin, harder than it is today. And so you don't want to,
Why do you say that? Because everything will be illiquid, or
I think the on-ramps are very vulnerable. The on-ramps could be like that entry door can cut you off at any moment. So, I mean, it's already kind of difficult to move large amounts into Bitcoin quickly. I mean, it's getting easier rather than more difficult. If you're willing to do KYC and stuff, it's definitely getting easier. But I think in a macro crisis, like those regulated on-ramps could just get like a combination of they get cut off by regulators, or Coinbase goes down every time there's volatility. So if there's like a proper macro crisis, like they'll all be super under pressure. And
well, that's the funny thing, Matt. We already are in a macro crisis, essentially, with the repercussions of the lockdowns and the supply chain issues we're having. Like right now, I just retweeted a tweet from a freak, Luke Ferguson, who is at a Wawa, and a Wawa is putting up signs. Some products may be temporarily unavailable. We appreciate your patience as we continue to work through external supply chain shortages. We are working as quickly as possible with our partners to get back to full product inventory. So here in the US, Wawa, where we are in the Northeast, actually all down the East Coast now, some Wawas we're seeing empty shelves. Like this is a sign that you should be paying attention to and looking out for if you're worried about an inflationary and supply side crisis, which it seems like we're very much in.
I can't even get the black Richardson hats.
No?
I have a freak. A freak sent me the last 48 he had at his embroidery shop. But I'm like scrambling to try and track them down. It's such a random supply. Like, everything's being hit. So that's what I'm talking about. So like we're in the middle of obviously a macro crisis on a more macro level, but you know what I mean, right? Like, yes. I mean, well, that's like a bloody week.
Yeah, this could be. I mean,
At
it's
some point.
it's like it really depends on the amount of exposure the rest of the world has to these development companies. Which again, I don't think that information is just freely available until you start seeing who's actually, as soon as the tide goes out and you actually see who is exposed and how exposed they are. And again, I think everybody's looking at the CCP to see if they're going to bail it out. And like I said, with Xi Jinping's intent to move towards Mao's vision of communism and social good, I think this could be a perfect boogeyman. He could make lemonade out of this crisis, the lemons of a collapsing real estate development market. Um, Interesting times, freaks. Interesting times. If you're listening to the recorded version, you got some alpha in the beginning. If you're listening to the live stream, I recommend you go back and listen to the recorded version for the alpha we gave there.
How did we talking about so what we've been doing is we do a little bit of conversation before we go live, and that's only on the podcast feed. And then we go do a little bit of conversation on the live stream after we stop recording the podcast, and that's for the live stream viewers. We went pretty hard on the live stream portion last time, and we didn't get YouTube didn't kick us off. I'm so surprised that
you
we
were
didn't get flagged at all for that video.
you were trying to. I know you were trying.
We were pretty aggressive with it.
Yes.
I wonder if they like could tell that they were like, these guys are trying to get kicked off, so we're not gonna do it to them.
Yeah. Yeah. Fuck, man. These supply chain shortages are scary as fuck. And like, so this is where it gets really like, so if right now the probability of people's China's ability to contain the real estate crumbling to that market specifically within China, people seem to think it's possible, but there is that possibility and that probability. It is greater than zero that it extends beyond that market within China and starts affecting other markets in China and then markets globally. And so like if you have a massive economic downturn in China, again, like China's the world's manufacturing hub. Like if you think supply chain issues are bad now, like how bad could it get if this is just going to compound how bad this is, which is a scary thought.
Yeah. I'm a little bit uneasy to say the least about it, and it's not very clear how to prepare efficiently in this current environment. So we just got to try our best and keep our head on a swivel.
Start planting seeds, literally. Just start farming. Prepare. I mean, there's we need to have these systems more distributed, I guess. Supply chains very much concentrated in China. Here in the US, our food supply chain is very much concentrated amongst a few large players, a few of which are doing some fuckery, it seems, particularly the slaughterhouses and stuff like that. So we need to further distribute these supply chains, whether it be for raw materials to make end products or food here in the US. Like we need to bring manufacturing home, or at least to North America somewhere, or not even if we don't do that, just distribute that risk outside of China a bit more. And we need more farmers here in the US, and we need to relax regulations around food production, I would argue too. So you can
Unfortunately, that's not really going to happen until we all get burned. And then we'll learn our lesson. But in the short term, right, like you should be like, I guess you should have a meat freezer at the very least.
Yeah.
Fill that bad boy up.
Yeah.
Someone said canned food in the comments, got so much canned food that I just don't eat. Like it just sits there. It's like, I don't know.
It'll be there when you need it.
It'll be there when you need it. Just have some canned beans.
I didn't think we were going to start out there, but
I know we should get to Bitcoin related for the supply shortage. I mean, uh I think ASICs are going to hold their value significantly longer than they have in past cycles, um, because of the supply shortage, but also because they're kind of plateauing in efficiency gains. Like you're not seeing some like radical efficiency gains. So one of the topics we have on the list is Compass, which has made their name being a hosted mining solution where you pay them and they put an ASIC in a hosting provider's warehouse that has like cheap electricity and they set it up for you. They now have an at-home mining option, which is slightly more expensive than ASICs. If you like hustle and are going into Telegram group chats and stuff, you're paying a premium that Compass is, that's their business model. But they seem relatively reasonably priced. You can buy them with fiat, which most of the time, if you have to hustle for miners on like Telegram and stuff, you have to buy them with Bitcoin. And they provide customer support on helping you set them up, which is definitely in demand. I mean, people definitely want like a dedicated support line, at least in the early days when they're first. I think setting up an ASIC is easier than most people realize. Besides the electricity, go get a professional electrician and hire them so you don't fucking kill yourself. But I think it provides peace of mind for people that they have this trusted company that they can call up for support.
agreed. Disclaimer: Compass sponsor the pod, but I do love this product. Another product I love with that, maybe you pair this Compass mining at home product or the ability to acquire miners to mine at home with the black box that Steve Barber is working on.
Compass isn't a sponsor of Rabbit Hole Recap though, right?
May change. We will discuss
change.
that. We have a
But
spot.
up until now, they've been in the interview series.
Yeah. They went
so
in on.
I don't have to disclose. Only Marty has to disclose, unless that changes.
I think it might change.
But I would say that there's a lot of nuance about the hosted mining. It's like a decent fit for some people, but in my mind, I just keep going back to like not if you don't have control of your ASICs, it's like not your keys, not your coins. So it is kind of cool. I like that they're going into this home mining thing, and I think it's a very good venue for like stacking, just stacking without needing like a regulated an exchange or something like that. I don't know what kind of private information they take from you, but I assume it's less than an exchange. Instead, it's not like full blown KYC.
No, I think they only get the information you share when you buy it.
Yeah, and I think once again, I just think these ASICs, like even if you buy one that's a little bit overpriced because you want to go with the trusted vendor over, like a Kaboom Racks or like a Mind Farm Buy or like one of these Telegram channels. Regardless, I think these ASICs are going to hold up in value for a while.
And only hold up. I think they're going to increase in value.
Yeah.
Like you said, I think the supply chain issues on the ASIC side are only going to get worse in the short to medium term. I mean, we've already discussed the fact that TSMC has raised Bitmain's lease on their foundry floor by 20%, which obviously that cost is going to get passed on to miners purchasing ASICs, and then the inability for enough supply to get to market due to the chip shortage should put even more upward pressure on the price of ASICs. I wouldn't be surprised if we see mid 20,000s at some point next year.
I mean, it depends on which one for what.
The price of Bitcoin, or excuse me, the price of ASICs. S19, S19s, M30s. Like,
I mean, like if you bought like an M30 a month ago and just never plugged it in, never mind, you could probably sell it for like 3x the price you paid. You just like kept it in the box.
Yeah.
You didn't even.
Yeah. So prepare for that. This is going to be an interesting few years here with all these, not only in Bitcoin, but the factors outside of Bitcoin and in the geopolitical macro landscape. I mean, that's another thing. Did you see that alliance with, we didn't even talk about that, with the US, the UK, and Australia, this like weird military alliance we're making now. It seems there's some posturing.
Was it the submarine deal?
Yeah, now France is all pissed at us. That
we already have the Five Eyes with them. Was it Canada and New Zealand?
Yes.
Canada, New Zealand, UK, Australia, America, Five Eyes?
Yeah, I believe so. That's where all like
we all spy together. We each
Yes.
spy on each other's citizens and then report back.
Yeah. I think the bringing Australia into the nuclear submarine fold will be interesting to see how that affects the relationship with China. Obviously, they're very
Well,
close.
Australia's like the proxy war between us and China.
Yeah, yeah. China has a lot of influence in Australia as well. Obviously, we have some influence too, being a Western English speaking country. Yeah, deep breaths, freaks. I'm like I'm talking myself into to being scared right now. Should I be scared?
I'm like looking for I'm looking for a house, and it just complicates everything. Like I have no idea. Like if we go under contract for a house, like I feel like there's a possibility that like the whole market just fucking collapses from out underneath us as it's happening.
Yeah,
But at
yeah,
the same time, like I would like to have a house before chaos.
yeah. I like to have a farm, and I'm like Austin City,
Yeah.
locked in for a year.
Well, stay aware, freaks.
Stay aware. Be aware. Be
And
aware.
just
Also be aware.
thank
Full
God we
time.
have Bitcoin, man.
Yeah.
I mean,
Thank
I
God.
would be like I think a lot of times Bitcoiners, we get frustrated with our peers, our normie peers, who maybe we went to college with, we went to school with, we work with, um, and I think it's important perspective to realize if I didn't know about Bitcoin, if I didn't hold and use Bitcoin, if I didn't know about the greater free open source communities that are tangential to Bitcoin, I would have so little hope, and I would be completely disenfranchised. So you have to judge it from that perspective, and that's what most people are going through right now.
Silver lining. Silver lining. Thank God we have. Let's dive into this for any newer freaks who may be new to the podcast and Bitcoin in general. Thank God we have Bitcoin. Comparing it to this Evergrande situation or tying it into the Evergrande situation, it seems that this situation has been allowed to get to the point that it has gotten to because of just the ability to print money ex nihilo and go fund this vast misallocation of capital that is getting no return and is forcing lenders to go, or at least the developer to go bankrupt, and that could have effects on the lenders who gave them the freely printed money in the first place. Bitcoin and a financial system built on Bitcoin will have better assurances in terms of the collateral underlying the lending and the loans for those activities. It'll be much harder to misallocate capital at the level that it has been misallocated in under this fiat standard over the last 50 years.
Well, at least the incentives won't be broken.
Yes.
Idiots will still take pleasure in
Yes.
misallocating capital.
And due to the nature of the network and the ability to verify the transparent ledger, you can force individuals and businesses that you are thinking about engaging in business or economic activity with to prove that they have some amount of collateral underlying their activities via the Bitcoin network, via a signed message or something like that, a proof of reserves, proof of liabilities, like many of the exchanges in the Bitcoin space are rolling out. Thank God we have Bitcoin. That's correct, Matt. Let's get into the list a little deeper here. Yeah, thank God we have Bitcoin, and it seems like U.S. regulators hate Bitcoin, and the Senate and Congress hate Bitcoin, and they snuck something into the infrastructure bill that Coin Center pointed out earlier this week, and they're calling it an unworkable and arguably unconstitutional tax change tucked away in the infrastructure bill in section 60501. And this would require counterparties, any counterparty, if Matt and I were to exchange Bitcoin with each other over $10,000, we'd both have to collect each other's social security numbers, address, basically do everything you would have to do as an exchange except like issue a 1099.
Which is, by the way, it's only 25 million sats.
Yeah, it's not a lot of sats.
And that limit, they'll never change that limit. So if that gets put in, it's going to be an ever decreasing number of sats.
Yeah. So
Um,
it seems, I mean, again, it's another one of those things just snuck
is
into.
the infrastructure bill ever going to get passed?
I've
I felt like we spent so much time on it and it still hasn't been passed. And I just really I just like I care. Like I wish as an American and as a Bitcoiner that we didn't like shoot ourselves in the foot with just horrible over, burdensome regulation. But I've just come to the, conclusion that it's gonna happen. There's gonna be a lot of shitty regs, a lot of shitty rulemaking, a lot of burdensome things that are difficult and expensive to comply with. Um, in the short term. And the specifics of how it's going to be difficult and inefficient and burdensome don't really matter that much to me, you
no,
know, because
no.
the solution is, be a sovereign Bitcoiner and hold your own keys, use your own node, learn privacy best practices. Um, and eventually there's going to have to be protest.
VidGamer14 is saying that they're going to be voting on it on the 27th. And I agree. I think there's going to have to be protests, but the protest, they're just going to have to be people disobeying, civil disobedience. Like, fuck you. Like, who are these
Oh,
people? You see Biden at the UN? Like, they're spreading Build Back Better, like propaganda, and he can't even talk. You can't even talk.
I have not seen it.
These people, he can't speak. Like, it's embarrassing that
It-
we're pulling him out of his casket and putting him up there to try to string words together. This dude is literally losing his mind in front of the world. It's quite sad, actually. It's elder abuse, as Adam Curry would like to refer to it.
I try not to pay attention as much as possible.
I do as well, but sometimes those clips come down the timeline. And it's like, holy shit. Clown World rolls on. It
El
rolls.
Salvador owns 700 Bitcoin now.
Yeah, so it was true. You see, were you unhappy with the way the conversation was going? So you need to transition to El
I don't
Salvador.
know. It's just a government that is a government that's acquiring Bitcoin while our government is
That's just
trying
good.
to make Bitcoiners' lives as difficult as possible and push business over. Did you see that Masari is running an event in New York this week?
Yeah, mainnet.
And someone got served by the SEC. A speaker got served by the SEC right before he went up on stage.
Ryan Selkis seems pretty perturbed, to say the least. He's about to run for the Senate.
I mean, what did these people expect? Like, of course, like, what was the whole point? What's the point of this technology? Like, obviously governments are going to push back against it. Like, what is like I made a joke, trusted third parties are security holes because the security pun because of the SEC. I felt like no one got it. I thought it was pretty funny.
That it. Now that you explain it, it is very funny. I thought I mean, trusted third parties are security holes. That's like an actual
What
thing.
is the
Is
Security and Exchange Commission? Commission.
Security is an exchange commission. Yes. Yeah, Gary.
But like that's literally what happened, right? Like they have a person that they can point to that can shut down whatever. I mean, we still don't know who got served, but they just hit the person, like if you're a VC and you're investing in these so-called decentralized protocols and you have voting power and say in how they go, and a lot of times majority, and you have a kill switch, like what the fuck did you expect?
Yeah, it's gonna happen. We've been saying this. People are finding out why Satoshi decided to remain pseudo anonymous,
He's completely anonymous.
completely anon.
I mean, who the fuck is? We don't know who he is. Like best OPSEC,
Ever.
yeah, at least in modern history, after the internet.
Jack the Ripper. They never caught Jack the Ripper, did they?
Did they not?
I don't know. Actually, I think they might have.
But anyway, on a positive note, El Salvador seems to be embracing Bitcoin in a big way. On a negative note, Marty was mentioning earlier that Bitcoin provides the ability for proof of reserves. Um, who the fuck owns the 700 Bitcoin? How do they have control of those keys? Do we have? There's no transparency whatsoever.
Hey, let him ease into it. Maybe we can give this feedback to Bukele.
But I do wonder that. Were you considering that? Like, I feel like no one asked, like, okay, where's that Bitcoin at? Like, they have the ability to be the most transparent country in the world in terms of their treasury holdings, at least on the Bitcoin side. I mean, it could be in a multi-sig. They can, we can know who the key holders are. It can be transparently published on the internet using a signed message using the Bitcoin address, and they can prove to the world that they have those reserves. I would prefer if we don't go down the route of everyone going with the the Michael Saylor MicroStrategy. Just tweet it out, and that's your confirmation. Like, why don't you send a message?
Well, that's what I was just going to say. Imagine the gravity and the impact of the treasurer of El Salvador signing a message. Here's our wallet. Like that symbolism in and of itself, I think, would be bigger than just Bukele telling Recep Erdogan to have fun staying poor as he buys the dip. And
I was just wondering about that.
Yeah, no, it's apparently they have 700 Bitcoin. It hasn't been confirmed with any signatures, with any messages signed. Excuse me. So,
like, we know why MicroSaylor, I fucking love that. We know why MicroStrategy doesn't, and that's because they're using a regulated custodian, so they don't actually hold their keys. I would hope that Bukele is holding his keys, and he should just do a signed message. Like, that's one of the coolest parts of Bitcoin, is that you can prove to the world you own something, and anyone anywhere in the world can digitally verify that. That's never been possible before. That is super fucking cool, and no one's really using that. Exchanges, it's more difficult for them to do it because their balances and liabilities are moving around so often, but it's still possible, and hopefully more will do it. But with these just treasury holdings, we've accumulated more Bitcoin, and this is how much Bitcoin we hold, is like the easiest proof of reserve they can do. It's not a very complicated process. So hopefully we see more people doing it. And then we also have FTB in the comments. He wants us to mention that a lot of noobs think that Adam Back is Satoshi, and we're supposed to dispel that myth. I don't think Adam Back is Satoshi, and I also don't think it's productive to try and speculate on who Satoshi is. But I'm 99% sure it's not Adam.
I don't believe it's Adam either. He's come out and straight up denied it as well.
That's what Satoshi would do.
Right. I don't think he likes being asked the question. Adam certainly did contribute one of the core pieces to Bitcoin, which is the hash cash proof of work. Satoshi iterated on it and added the difficulty adjustment, which is probably the most beautiful part of the Bitcoin network, is that difficulty adjustment to calibrate block production at the 10-minute target. Adam Back's not Satoshi. And like Matt said, if you ever see Satoshi in the street, shoot him. Shoot him right.
Oh, protect him.
Yeah. What else was I going to say? I had some, full-time Bitcoin also making us aware that Slush Pool mined 4 blocks in a row. That's pretty rare for them.
Let's fucking go. The plebs pool. Need to get that hash rate up.
They had, I think Foundry was able to poach some hash from them, but I think they have been making a strong recovery.
Foundry's kicking their ass in hash.
Yeah.
Like double.
Yeah. I like the team over at Foundry, though. I love Kevin and Yuri and those guys. And I have met their technical lead. And I'm not going to dox his name, but he's based, gets Bitcoin, gets the ethos of Bitcoin as a cypherpunk. I would describe him as a true cypherpunk. What else do we got here? What else? Salvador, Compass at Home. Ooh, this one I'm sure really grinded your gears, but you probably weren't surprised about. Chainalysis running a block explorer to help uncover people looking at certain transactions, tying IPs to transactions.
It's been CoinDesk ran it as a scoop and said that it was secretly being run. It wasn't, maybe it was intentionally poorly disclosed, but it was pretty, like, in privacy, in Bitcoin privacy circles, it was aware that Chainalysis owns this website. So it's walletexplorer.com. Do not go to it or use it. But it was a block explorer, it's a pretty good block explorer. And the creator of that works at Chainalysis, which is public knowledge. But Chainalysis has been using it to tie users' IP addresses to the wallet addresses they search. So they've just been basically using it as a data harvesting operation. And this is what you should expect. These are professional surveillance mercenaries. And they are going to harvest as much data as possible. Wherever they see an edge, wherever they see the ability for them to cheaply harvest more data, ideally discreetly, so their targets don't realize, they're going to do it, and they're going to connect it with their massive data pool of other data. And of course, the Bitcoin blockchain is forever. It should probably outlast all of us if we're correct. So at any point, then they can cross-reference all that outside external data they've collected and put it in, combine it with the blockchain data, all the Bitcoin transaction data that's publicly viewable and out there for everybody forever, and use that against honest people.
Yes. So be aware. That's why we recommend that you run your own full node. If you're going to use a block explorer, try to use something like mempool.space, which allows you to connect to your full node and pull the data from the blockchain from your copy of the blockchain, so you're not pinging external servers and leaving your IP address on there. If you are going to use an external block explorer, make sure you're using Tor or VPN at the very least. You don't want to tie your IP address with the blockchain data you're looking up on these explorers, because it could be used as a heuristic to assume that you own the sats in the wallets that you're looking up, or the transactions that you're looking at.
On if you use Tor or VPN and you're searching like multiple addresses, you're not using your own node, you want to constantly switch servers. So on Tor, it's called a new identity. On VPN, if you're using a good VPN like a Molvat or something, you can switch which country you're in. And you're going to want to switch servers. Otherwise, it can combine, they can see that the same user is looking multiple addresses and link them together. They still won't know your IP address, which is a net benefit. Your IP address is a unique address attached. It's like your computer's mailing address. So they won't know your IP address, but they can know the addresses are connected to a single individual, which might give them some clues. The reputable block explorers all have no logging policies. Blockstream.info, mempool.space, OXT. They all have no logging policies. Like, there's no way to verify that. But it's better to use one that says they're not logging. Wallet Explorer like explicitly says they're logging all your shit. But yeah, and Blockstream.info has a Tor endpoint, so you can just go to the native Tor address. And I believe Mempool has one as well.
Yes. Another thing that was included in this document was the admission that they're running basically nodes that SPV wallets are connecting to, correct?
Yeah, the Electrum wallet. They're definitely running a bunch of Electrum servers. This is something we've speculated for in the past. It's one of the reasons it's important to use your own node. These node-in-a-box solutions, the Umbrals, the Ronin Dojos, the Raspberry Blitzes, the My Nodes, the Start Nines, the Noddles, they all allow you to easily run your own block explorer. They all allow you to easily run your own Electrum server. If you don't do that, then you're going to be trusting someone else's node. And if you're trusting someone else's node, you're trusting them with your privacy. So it's just something to be cautious about. I wouldn't be surprised if, they're participants in the different CoinJoin implementations. Anywhere they can see an edge that they can cheaply get more data, they're going to do it. Maybe they haven't started yet, but running large Lightning nodes is a good way for them to gather more data as well at very low cost. So when we think about these threat models and we think about these incentives, the only safe assumption is to assume that they have their hands in everything and protect yourself from that. And hopefully we're just preparing for the worst, and it's better. The reality is better than that.
Agreed. Be aware, freaks. Be aware. Chainalysis, they're out there trying to dox you. They helped. Another item we have on the list is the sanctioning of, what's the exchange called? Suex out of Russia?
It's a OTC exchange. So it's not like a proper exchange, but over-the-counter exchange.
Yeah, so an OTC exchange in Russia. It was originally domiciled in Prague, I believe.
Yep. I
And
had never heard of it before the sanctions.
neither have I, but apparently the Department of Justice teamed up with Chainalysis to tie a bunch of the Bitcoin associated with recent ransomware attacks and even our one of our favorite all-time exchanges, BTCE. Some Bitcoin from that exchange was being sold or switched out via this OTC.
I love that they never say sold. They're like, oh, it was laundered.
Yeah, right. So this is the Department of Justice is coming down heavily on this, and this is another lean into the ransomware cyber attack stuff, and they're probably going to begin drumming that beat.
A couple days before that, the U.S. Treasury announced that they were preparing a bunch of sanctions against Bitcoin-related companies and entities. And then, like a couple days after that, this happened. So my guess is there's going to be more coming. Obviously, enforcement is going to have to be on a person-by-person basis. They have no way in the protocol to seize funds or anything like that. So they're going to have to, the first step, a lot of times with sanctions, the first step is just making it public and, saying there's a target on your back rather than them actually being able to enforce it. But we should expect more of that. Also, I don't think we mentioned it, don't have it on the list. But Coinbase just made a new deal with the US government for another $1.3 million. This one's much larger than their previous contract to provide their chain surveillance software and tools to, I believe, Homeland Security and ICE, to immigration enforcement. And, this is even a larger concern than these classic chain surveillance companies, because we were just talking about how data is the most valuable thing for these tools. And Coinbase knows everything about its users. They know absolutely everything. They have a huge amount of insight onto on-chain transactions because they had their users and they had their users completely cucked up. They got full KYC. They know every withdrawal address. They know every deposit address. And through process of elimination, they can figure out a lot of other things. Now, Coinbase has said that they keep their user information and their chain surveillance strictly separate. I find that hard to believe. Maybe they do now, but that's going to change. That's their main advantage compared to the other chain surveillance companies as they have it.
That's certainly an old-faced lie.
Yeah, and it really shines a light on like this whole thing. Like, Brian Armstrong like did his whole little sissy story on Thread about how the SEC wouldn't let him launch his 4% USDC interest product. This is what they're doing. They're bending the knee and selling out all their users, selling out Bitcoiners, selling out Ethereans, selling out all the different shitcoins they support. Whatever shit token they support, they're doing chain surveillance on it. They're selling it to the US government for super cheap. And they're hoping that the US government allows them to sell securities and looks the other way because they've given them that capability.
Yeah. And then you had Brian Armstrong coming out. I don't even know it was him. There's like announcement. There was headlines. Coinbase is going to be working closely with regulators to help craft legislation on regulation, and this is how you create a regulatory moat, right?
They have a very strong regulatory moat already, but they want to expand it.
Yeah. Get your keys off the exchange, get your coins off the exchange and into wallets which you control the keys to.
Coinbase and Coinbase custody together probably own about 1.8 million Bitcoin. Hold 1.8 million Bitcoin.
Do your part. One of the shout outs has to do with this topic, so I'll wait till then. But just don't. What do you think? We talk about this a lot. Is there any more urgency to get coins off exchange in your mind?
Yeah. There's always urgency, but the urgency increases as time goes on.
Yes. We always have to caveat this with make sure you know what you're doing. Make sure.
Test it with a small amount.
Practice. Practice makes perfect. But do it.
Test it with a small amount, send it, receive it, wipe it, restore it, make sure you still can access it, get comfortable, and then get all your fucking coins off of exchanges.
Yeah. utilize Bitcoin, the power of Bitcoin.
They can, like we said earlier, they can just cut that withdrawal at any point, whether that's government related, whether that's corporate related, whether it's personal or whether it's across the board. People have been cut off from their Bitcoin before when it's held with the custodian.
We could wake up tomorrow and this woman right here, this beautiful woman right here, could just be like, yeah, people aren't allowed to self custody exchanges. You're not allowed to let people remove their coins from the exchange to personal custody. She could mandate that, and they'd have to listen the next day. I'm pretty sure. The way things are going with all this.
I mean, they're a little bit inept. So, like, my guess is if they did it, there would be like at least some kind of notice. But it just depends how big of a crisis unfolds. Like, if there's a large crisis, then things can move quicker.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like, Marty Jones is coming out now. Like, how much do we have to put up with this? How many times do we have to put up with this incompetence? Like the government, the U.S. government, I'll focus on our government. Like, it is completely incompetent. It is inept. It is making things worse. It is taking more and more tax dollars and producing a worse product over time. Why do we put up with these people? Fuck these people. They should have no say on what we're building here. We're building the future of money and finance for the digital age. And these old dinosaurs who don't understand anything, they're greedy, they're kleptocratic, they're evil. I would argue a lot of them are evil. Are making these broad brush regulations on the most incredible technology that humanity has ever come into contact with. It's just very frustrating. And that is why I'm a strong advocate of civil disobedience at the personal. And I hope companies start disobeying. I hope the base companies like River, Cash App, other exchanges. Sorry for putting you guys on the spot, but
you're on the spot.
You're on the spot. We need people to stand up and say, this is enough. Like, get away from us. Leave us alone.
The bar is so low. I'm just like impressed they haven't sold surveillance tools to the U.S. government.
Did you see that bored Elon Musk tweet?
No.
Let me find it real quick. But it's just like a perfect depiction of like.
But that's a parody account, right? Like, he doesn't also operate bored Elon Musk.
No, it's not. It's not Elon, but it's just it's a parody account with 1.7 million followers. But it's like he uses the word crypto. I know we don't like it, but it really highlights the absurdity of the focus on Bitcoin and the overarching cryptocurrency landscape. Most money lost by consumers through crypto scams last year, $80 million. 2020, $80 million. Money lost by consumers through overdraft fees last year, $12 billion. Like, banks are literally robbing poor people of $12 billion in overdraft fees. And nobody says anything about it. Some people get scammed. They took risk. I would argue they probably understood the extent of the risk they were taking, and it got burned. And now we just need to completely cuck this, again, revolutionary technology, potentially the best technology that humanity has ever come into contact with, because it finally allows us to create a globally fair monetary system that can't be manipulated by people like this beautiful woman.
He's kissing Janet Yellen for the audio freaks.
Yeah, audio freak. She's on my green screen today. We got the Bitcoin sign guy sign.
One of the items on the list that you skipped over, probably unintentionally, maybe I skipped over it, is Wasabi Wallet 2.0.
That was
a blog post about what they expect Wasabi Wallet 2.0 to provide in terms of privacy. It's a little bit light on the specifics. I'm just going to withhold my opinion. Why are you
withholding your opinion?
If you're using Wasabi Wallet and you're excited for Wasabi Wallet 2.0, you should go read this post. And yeah, I mean, development on Wasabi Wallet has stopped. They're only focusing on Wasabi Wallet 2.0. So Wasabi Wallet 2.0 is intended to completely replace Wasabi 1.0. And yeah, there's this blog post explains what they're hoping for privacy-wise.
Go check it out. Matt's gonna.
My point is, okay, so my opinion is, I look forward to playing with it when it's out.
Mm-hmm.
Because, you know, with this space is filled with false claims that are not that don't come to fruition. So They have very ambitious goals, and I'm excited to try it out when it's out.
Yeah. If anything, I read through the blog post. It's a good breakdown of how coin joins work. I didn't like the Hufflepuff. It was a little cheesy, but whatever.
Like, what was that? Why
Yeah.
didn't it just say Sats
Yeah,
or Bitcoin?
Yeah. But it is a good explanation of Xiaomi and coin joins and all that stuff.
But it wasn't. It was an explanation of, I guess he starts with an explanation of Wasabi Wallet 1.0, and then he goes to how it's different in Wasabi Wallet 2.0. Did you understand how it's different in Wasabi Wallet 2.0?
I breezed through it. I need to go back and read it more diligently.
I mean, you don't have to. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's the idea is to try and make it more mainstream and accessible, and that you don't have fixed amounts.
Breaking news. I'm sorry for interrupting that. Wasabi, go check it out. We will have more to say about it.
Go check out the Wasabi Wallet 2.0
blog post
that we have linked in the show notes.
Linked in the show notes. Breaking news. Shout out to No Bullshit Bitcoin. If you're not following them on Telegram, Twitter, you're missing out on breaking news in the Bitcoin space. Just launched. It's actually not breaking. It's an hour old, but Bitcoin Magazine wrote an article about the Dutch football club PSV holds Bitcoin on its balance sheet and it self-custodies. Let's go. More of this.
Oh, that's nice. They should sign a message.
Maybe I bet they would.
Let's get them to sign a message. I guess are they disclosing how much Bitcoin they're owning?
I don't think it says there. So it's part of a sponsorship deal with Anycoin Direct, which is a Bitcoin exchange in the Netherlands. I would assume they're getting paid in Bitcoin. They're holding the Bitcoin, and it's a club's official partner. I'm trying to see who this guy. Franz Johnson, he's commercial director of PSV, personally created the Bitcoin wallets where they custody the coins. Cool. So if you're at PSV, if you're in PSV management, make sure you have a multi-sig set up, and Franz isn't just holding the keys. He can run away with it at any point. You may trust him. They love him. He may be a great director, but Bitcoin can make people go crazy. He could just run with the wallet one day.
They may be one of the most valuable clubs in sports once if they hold on to it. It'd be kind of cool. I could see sports teams start getting accumulation FOMO. I feel like it's a fit.
I mean, it's just natural progression. The players are already doing it.
But anyway, shout out to the No Bullshit Bitcoin feed. Very useful feed.
Very useful feed.
They're on Twitter too.
They are on Twitter. Throw them on your list. Follow them on Telegram. Put the notifications on, and they'll put I actually owe them a donation. I haven't donated in a while. Should we go to shout outs?
Yeah, let's hit it.
All right, since my browser's fucked, I've got to read it on this computer. So I'm gonna for the live streamers, I'm gonna look a bit weird for a bit. Today's the 21st, tomorrow's or 22nd, tomorrow's the 23rd. So shout outs would have started the 16th, after the 16th. All right, so here we go. We've got a lot of shout outs today. Thank you, freaks, for the shout out. Shout outs, we love these. Great way to interact. tftc.io/contribute if you want to purchase a shout out and get me to read something silly on air or serious. You can do so there. Rare Pepes are currently saving the Bitcoin fee market. Change my mind. There's only 5,922 transactions in Clark's mempool, and there is no fee market right now.
Thanks for another shout out, Vic. We always appreciate when you send in your shout outs.
I love you, Vic.
You didn't sign it, right?
No, he didn't sign it.
It's definitely a vague shout out, right?
Yeah.
Rare Pepes are
making a strong comeback.
Yeah, one of the original NFTs.
It's on Bitcoin. The original.
I remember you did an episode. Didn't they gift you one?
Yeah, I've got Rare Pepes in an open dime.
You got to dump it, bro.
Well, I've been told I can't dump it. It's philosophically inconsistent with being a Bitcoin maximalist.
I mean, you got to dump it.
I know. I think it's cool. I'm gonna hold it for a while, just for the fact that I mean, it's a collectible. Like it's physically,
it's a collectible. Someone paid fucking 12 Bitcoin for one. I think it was more rare. Our boy Dan Darkpill made a bunch of them early on and he gifted them to people. So he didn't keep any. And one of the ones he created sold for 12 Bitcoin.
If you got gifted that, you got to give Dan at least 1 Bitcoin.
I agree with that for sure. But I mean, how can you not sell that if you just walked into that?
Right. What are the shitcoiner Pepe's going for? That's what I have. And so like Joe Looney, who's one of the founders of Rare Pepe's and the creator of the Counterparty Wallet and Exchange, which Rare Pepe's were exchanged on. He was on a very early episode of TFTC. Highly recommend you guys go listen to it if you haven't already, just to learn about Rare Pepe's specifically. It's actually a funny episode because we talk a lot about. Joe was very smart about the energy stuff before it even happened, like Bitcoin miners using excess energy. We talk about that in that episode as well.
If dumping Rare Pepe's is unethical, then what does that make having an episode dedicated to Rare Pepe's on your podcast? Like that's got to be.
This was early. This was 2017. Still,
but you've already committed the sin. You've already committed the sin. You had an episode that was all about Rare Pepe's. You got gifted a Rare Pepe in that. I mean, as don't go out making false claims like my Rare Pepe cures cancer. It's the new money. It's ultrasound money or any kind of bullshit claims. Just be like, here's my garbage Rare Pepe. If you want to give me 10 Bitcoin for it, I will take that 10 Bitcoin.
Well, I'm in a predicament because after that episode, Joe, since it's on an open dime, it's a public address. You can put it out. He posted. He sent me a link to the address that he put the shitcoiner Pepe in, and then he posted that to Twitter after, like, hey, Rare Pepe community, if you want to send Marty Pepe's, do it. So like I got a bunch of random Pepe's on this open dime, but I don't know the address anymore. It's like it's been lost in the.
But you have the open.
So I have to I have the open dime, but it's like in a sealable bag. I don't want to break the seal and then plug it in. It's like a bit of a mystery. It's
break the fucking seal.
Schrodinger's Pepe's.
No, you don't have to break the seal to see the address.
No,
just plug it in, copy the address.
Oh, it's in a bag. It's in like a bag.
Break the fucking bag. Break the bag of seal. Plug it in. Check the address. Profit.
All right. What are these Pepe's going for these days? That's what I want to know. I had something else to add there. Oh yeah, this whole policing maximalist and stuff like that. What are your thoughts on that? Have you been following that at all?
What Udi's
his vendetta?
Yeah, I mean, no, not really. I think there is a breed of Bitcoiners. There's a subset of Bitcoiners that have defaulted to lazy argumentation. And I would like Bitcoiners to be stronger if they choose to debate someone. But I think, Udi's argument has got a lot of straw men involved. And the shitcoiners love that argument. They just are all over it. So,
yeah, my view on it is I don't care. It's all inconsequential. Like
no one cares. Like Twitter shitposting. Like your favorite influencer can lie to himself and lie to you, saying that like his Twitter shitposts are helping the greater Bitcoin movement. Like, no, they're for engagement. Like that's what they're for. They're not going to increase Bitcoin adoption. They're not some greatness for the world. They're a fucking shitpost. And if it's scheduled, it's a scheduled shitpost. So just be humble enough to admit what the fuck you're doing on Twitter and shake it off and move the fuck on.
Fuck you, Vic, for sending us
also
this rabbit hole we just fell down.
I wanted to be clear that no one should be buying Rare Pepe's in my opinion. Like that shit's all trending to zero in terms of Bitcoin, along with everything fucking else. And
so I should dump my Pepe's.
I mean, I think you'll regret it for the rest of your life if you don't.
Okay.
They are fucking pumping like no other right now. No one expected, even the Pepe Maximalists didn't expect it. The last 5 of them.
I think I'll go unseal that bag later tonight. We'll see. Shout out number 2. Hello, Matt and Marty. I've been listening for a while and I love the show. This message is for all the freaks. This is what I was alluding to earlier. As many of you already know, we celebrate the Genesis block on January 3rd every year. However, this celebration is about more than just getting drunk with friends. Proof of Keys Day is about making sure Bitcoin fulfills its role as global hard money. If we don't assert our sovereignty individually, I think that's what he was trying to say there, by taking possession of our coins, then Bitcoin will suffer the same fate as gold and will be inflated into oblivion through rehypothecation. Last year was underwhelming, and I know we can do much better. So tell your friends and family if they care about not losing their coins to get a hardware wallet and take possession. This year, let's pull the tide out and discover who's been swimming naked. And co-sign that. You don't have to do it on January. You don't have to do it on January 3rd. You should do it every day.
Every day is Proof of Keys Day.
Yeah.
If your funds are on an exchange, they're not your funds. Period.
Her claim on Bitcoin. That's all they are. Where are we at here? Told you, a lot of shout outs. What's up, fellas? RHR has been a weekly staple for me for almost a year now, so this contribution is long overdue. Hard to express the value I get from RHR. You guys grind out pure signal every single week, and you do it with high doses of integrity, critical thinking, and respectful debate, all while keeping us laughing. I like that you guys are laughing. No script, no hidden agenda, no bullshit. That's so rare these days, even with the Bitcoin space to some degree, and it's very much appreciated. Also wanted to have you guys dox me a little bit on air in order to help me start a meetup in my area. After Bitcoin 2021 and BitBlock boom, I'm dying for more interaction with Bitcoiners. Lone wolfing it up here in a small town, Iowa. I know it probably makes Matt cringe a little bit, but please let the freaks know to DM me if they're ever in Northwest Iowa area, Sioux Falls, Fort Dodge, Omaha, and if they're down for a monthly meetup. I'm Eric Can't Meme on Twitter. That's at EABROSIUS. At EABROSIUS. Appreciate you both and all the freaks out there. Cheers. Well, thank you for the extremely kind words. And if you're a freak in the Northwest, Iowa region, consider meeting up with Eric to talk about Bitcoin.
100%.
I'm very flattered that you guys
love you, freak.
Some of you freaks get value out of this. Maybe some. I think there are some freaks out there who just rage listen because they hate some of my views on things, but it's nice to see that there's some out there that like stuff as well and get value out of it. That's what we're looking to do, is bring value here. Satoshi writes, next shout out, Matt. Next shout out. I'm reading a shout out. I'm not saying this.
Thank you for the clear delineation.
Satoshi writes, there would be many smaller zombie farms that are not big enough to overpower the network, and they could still make money by generating Bitcoins. Satoshi said that. Bitcoins. Did you hear that, Matt? The more smaller farms that resort to generating Bitcoins, the higher the bar gets to overpower the network, making larger farms also too small to overpower it. So they may as well generate Bitcoins too. Even if a bad guy does overpower the network, it's not likely he's instantly rich. To exploit it, he would have to buy something from a merchant, wait till it ships, then overpower the network and try to make his money back. I don't think he could make as much money trying to pull a carding scheme like that as he could be generating Bitcoins. With a zombie farm that big, he could generate more Bitcoins than everyone else combined. The Bitcoin network might actually reduce spam by diverting zombie farms to generating Bitcoins instead. Excerpt from page 40 of the stage from the book of Satoshi, Marty 1, Odell 0 from Disco Toshi.
Yeah, okay.
Hey.
It sounded horrible. It made no sense, Satoshi. If you're listening, we would love to have you on the show. And I hope you've reformed your views on the proper plurality of Bitcoin.
Don't talk to Satoshi like that. It's Bitcoins, bro.
It makes no sense.
Outside
Dying
of
on the hill.
Outside of the ongoing debate about the plural of Bitcoins, the plural of Bitcoin is Bitcoins. That excerpt specifically, I mean, I think it shows that Satoshi really understood the natural incentives of the network and was basically describing the probability of 51% attacks. And again, you can pull off a 51% attack, but like, how profitable is it after that? It is more profitable to just mine.
That freak did not care about the excerpt on the 51%. That freak looked up what excerpt had the most dense terms Bitcoins that Satoshi said and pasted it because of that. 100% didn't care about the actual contents of the excerpt.
Well, I care about the contents of the excerpt. It's a good
great.
excerpt. Satoshi understood the natural incentives. People are literally naturally incentivized to abide by the rules and not attack the network. You can make the argument will be more profitable at the end of the day in the long run. This is just a special thanks. This is another shout out, Matt. I'm reading a shout out. This is just a special thanks to our boys, Marty and Matt. The plebs appreciate all of you. Keep the fire alive. Also, quick public service announcement. Plebs should be going out, buying burner phones with cash and getting KYC free Bitcoin at Bitcoin ATMs. Take advantage of the dip. You can accumulate a lot of clean sats very quickly. Use multiple phones and several ATM providers. Do this before it's no longer an option. Peace from a random pleb.
Peace, random pleb. Good advice.
It was very good advice. That was it for the shout outs. Very good shout outs this week, freaks.
Is it ETH or ETH?
I say ETH. I don't care. Ethereum, Ether, ETH.
I don't know. I think I switch it up.
Yeah. Don't care. I say ETH. I'm not dying. That's not a hill I'm going to die on. I will die on.
Yeah, I'm not dying on the hill either.
Yeah. Where are we here? Straight into software updates. Again, caveat with the software updates. These are the latest versions of these software projects. If you're running this software, you don't have to upgrade immediately. At least I don't think there's any critical bugs in any of the releases that we'll be announcing right now.
When they're critical, we'll mention it if we notice.
Yes. So these updates are available. Consider updating. Weigh the cost. Get feedback from other users. Jump into it.
Fire downloads with PGP.
Simple Bitcoin Wallet version 2.1.12 has been released. Matt, as always,
from source.
As always, let me know if there's anything you want to highlight.
Nope, there's nothing.
Blue Wallet
has been all over the place this week.
Blue Wallet version 6.2.7 has been released. If you're running Blue Wallet, consider upgrading to that version. Lightning Terminal version 0.5.1 alpha has been released. And what is this? Immortan. I've never seen this project.
Immortan is the Lightning implementation that is mobile focused and powers Simple Bitcoin Wallet. So they tend to get updated together.
Okay. All right. So that's up to version 0.2.4 if you're running that.
So it's a pretty cool project, to be honest. It's taking like a first principles approach to Lightning on mobile. So it's only focused on trying to, have the most reliable full node experience on Lightning on mobile.
Check it out. I can't believe I've never heard of it.
I think Fiat Jaff is involved.
Oh yeah, Fiat Jaff.
I'm not positive.
I've actually got to check my DMs. Christopher Allen.
Blockchain Commons?
Yeah, he reached out to me. He wanted me to ask me kindly if I would highlight some of the work they've been doing. And I think that
I love Blockchain Commons. They don't get enough.
Yes.
They don't get enough love.
Christopher, if you're listening, I'm sorry. I'm slow to getting to this, but pulling it.
Marty. How funny was the meme the freak made of you and the walker talking about the screenshots?
That was hilarious. It was funny. So earlier this month, Christopher Allen and the team at Blockchain Commons launched the latest version of Gordian Seed Tool. It's version 1.2. It's now available on iOS and Mac app stores. And they put out a new post about the latest air-gapped QR reference app to demonstrate and exercise a number of their interoperable wallet standards using QR codes. So that's one of the things the Blockchain Commons has been working on is a standard for QR codes across Bitcoin wallets. And that's some very, very important work. I will link to this stuff in the show notes. And then also they're working on sharded secret key reconstruction, calling SSKR. It's a way for users to easily shard a cryptographic secret, giving you some options for seed reconstruction, improved resilience against theft or loss. So they're working on these tools. I agree with Matt. They don't get enough coverage. We should probably be giving them more coverage here. And that was my effort to do that.
Have you had him on the show?
No, I need to get him on. I've asked him to come on. He's always like, we're working on something. I'll come on when that's finished.
Yeah, I wanted to get him on Dispatch.
Yeah.
Doesn't get enough press time.
No, he doesn't. Christopher, if you're listening, we'd love to have you on the show.
It's a fully donation-backed project.
Yeah. Open
So
sats.
donate.
Open sats. Consider.
We are considering it. We're moving very slowly. Apologies, freaks.
You're telling me.
We'll get it. We'll get it up. We'll get it up in 2 weeks. Trademark.
We have 2 more stories left.
What is Blockchain Commons website?
Give me a sec.
I'm only operating on one screen, so
it is.
It's either probably blockchaincommons.com or .org. Remember the good old days of the internet where you could just type what you wanted and then put .com at the end, and it just usually just hit whatever you wanted.
Funnyjunk.com, blockchaincommons.com.
Commons. Well, there's a support page on there. Go support them. Yes. Or don't. You do you. I'm not gonna tell you what to do.
Yeah. So be aware. Be aware about that. A couple stories I wanted to talk about. I threw on the list at the end here. Just got a random text from somebody. Every financial advisor I talk to is big into crypto. Who sent me this text?
Still early.
Still early. Still very early. They're big into crypto. They're missing. It's a top signal. That was the follow-up text. Maybe it is. I don't know if we're hitting the top yet, but we'll see with all this regulatory scrutiny. Maybe it could create a top. That's not what I want to talk about. I want to talk about carbon credit cards, carbon limit credit cards. So obviously, the topic of ESG and this monetary reset and this cattle herding of individuals into a central bank digital cuckbuck system, which basically dictates how much money you have, how quickly you have to spend it, who you can spend it with, and a bunch of other things. They're going to embed a social credit score system into this, most likely. I mean, these officials are coming out and saying this in public, so it's not like conspiracy theory, like the Great Reset, Build Back Better. They're trying to do it like it's not what some would deem a conspiracy theory. These people are coming out and saying this straight to everybody's face. This is what we want to build. Part of that social credit score will be your carbon impact on the economy. And so there is a pilot program that was actually launched in 2019 by MasterCard in conjunction with, I believe, a Swiss company or a Swedish company, and they created this Duconomy card. What are you laughing
at? You just triggered 2 whole countries. But continue.
My bad.
Just interchangeable. It doesn't matter. One of those guys.
Yeah, essentially. So it launched in 2019. It's a credit card that basically tracks your spending and tries to calculate the carbon impact of your spending, giving each item a carbon emission score. And then if you reach your carbon limit on this card, you're literally allowed to spend. You have you've reached your carbon limit. You can't spend any more money on this card. And I think it's been getting a lot of attention in recent weeks. I think the partnership came out and said they aim at using this product to create a standard that can be adopted by others globally. And so this is sort of a minimum viable product, proof of concept of a way in which these limiting spending restrictions will be added to the central bank digital cuckbuck wallet. And they're already
trying to like sell it as like a feature, and then where you can like adjust your carbon limit yourself, right? And then
it becomes a standard. And the normalization around this is pretty crazy how it's starting to creep up. A freak tweeted a picture, a screenshot. It was like a Boomer Uncle Marty screenshot of his cell phone taking a picture of Google flights. And if you go on Google flights, you can filter by carbon emissions for flights. And it's funny, Spirit has the lowest carbon emissions, and it's not because they're doing anything funny in the efficiency of their engines or using less gas. It's just they cram so many fucking people into these planes that so to get a low carbon score for airlines in the future, you're just going to have to make your flight more and more uncomfortable moving forward.
You took a picture of Google flights with your phone that was on your computer, and then you uploaded it to your computer and then sent out the newsletter from your computer is what you did, right?
It wasn't me. A freak took I took the
Oh,
freak.
okay.
I downloaded the freak's
You took a
screenshot.
picture of the freak's picture of the.
No, I downloaded
Okay. Congrats. Impressive.
I don't
No, yeah,
know.
I agree though. That it does seem like it's coming. I mean, and you can mix it with vaccine status as well. Um, there's some things you can do with like location history. Have you been to like a lot of bars lately? Have you been to um, maybe cities that are non grata or whatever,
Yeah.
like uncouth cities, uncouth towns?
Were you hanging
It
out
could
in
get
Florida? Were you hanging out in Florida or Texas?
it could get dark very quickly.
Cut.
And right now, like people have the option to spend cash, but cash usage is diminishing. It's already kind of suspicious if you try and spend a large amount of cash. So as cash usage declines and gets discouraged more by governments, this kind of reality becomes darker, and Bitcoin offers a way out if we use it with privacy best practices. Because you can, one of the things that they're going to use for the social credit score is going to be Bitcoin surveillance data, and probably KYC data too. Like if you're a Bitcoiner, I mean, you've automatically already run out of your carbon credits, right? Like Marty's not going to be able to use any traditional financial tools because he's just
Evil.
he's just burning up the world over there with his great American mining. So
Janet, don't yell at me too hard, honey. We're actually helping to reduce methane emissions, not that.
no, that logic doesn't matter.
No.
So
Well, logic doesn't matter. Logic, first principles, common sense, obvious facts don't matter. Nothing matters in the clown world. The clown world that we live in. Build back better. We're going to build back better. We're going to give you your carbon limit credit card. I'm going to tell you that you can't go to Palm Beach because the governor of Florida isn't falling in line with the Build Back Better crew.
on the bright side, your credit card is already a tool of control and surveillance. So at least now it'll be more obvious to people, and it'll wake some people up.
Yeah, on the bright side, and Bitcoin fixes this. They can't do this. Bitcoin has no idea.
Bitcoin fixes it if you use it in a sovereign way.
The correct way, yes. What else did I have here? Last on the list, the UK is currently experiencing crazy increases in natural gas prices. I think they've fallen into the European trap of combination of things, a decommissioning of these reliable energy facilities coupled with growing demand from China and Russia playing hardball with their natural gas resources. It is inciting a collapse of utilities companies, particularly natural gas utilities companies in the UK, which is cascading into extremely high electricity prices for the citizens of the United Kingdom, the countries within the United Kingdom. And I think it's just another, similar to Evergrande and the uncertainty around that. This is another, I don't even know if it's a black swan but something that many didn't have on their radar is popping up, is causing some legitimate problems for the electricity markets in the United Kingdom. I think something like 1.5 million people are being affected by, were being served by these utilities companies that are going under because they weren't able to hedge their natural gas price exposure, and the prices are simply too high for them to purchase and then resell profitably to the market. So just again, reliable, cheap energy is something that's important for humanity if you want to succeed. So
sounds like such a basic comment, but it's very controversial.
It is very controversial, but that'll be something to pay attention to as we venture into fall and winter, and demand for natural gas increases as people want to warm their homes. Hopefully we can at least pray for a mild fall and winter so the demand doesn't get to such a point where it gets to a crisis period. But Mother Earth may not play ball with us. That's all I got.
was a good rip.
It was a very good rip. Felt like the
I
old
got
days.
nothing. What?
Felt like the old days where we were just like dense, high quality. I mean, it's all high quality. I don't know why I said the old days. Like you said in the beginning,
Sometimes
Ninja Launch. I thought it was high quality.
we have our peaks and troughs.
It's consistency. It's key. That's what I tell you. It's just consistency. We can't control the news. We can't control what's going on outside of us. It comes to us and then inspires good content or pretty good content. You look tired, man. You okay?
I'm exhausted.
Look it.
Um, I'm exhausted, but life's good. No complaints. Well, I have some. Not no complaints. Life's good. Grateful, and I don't know. The Bitcoin volatility is always fun.
Yeah. Apparently, there's a price bump during this episode.
It's always like you're like we like I went onto Twitter, over the last week, and the panic is just you always have the mix of the panic, and then you have the mix of the people like I just bought the dip.
Yeah.
I will never sell or whatever. And it's
Just
a
get
fun
away from the
dynamic.
charts. Get away from the charts, freaks. Like
Yeah,
full
but
time.
it's fun for shit posting,
It is fun. Full time Bitcoin. He has some breaking news as well. Probably something we should have been paying attention to. Jerome Powell led an FOMC meeting this afternoon. It looks like those snippets from that meeting are coming out. The report just came out, and it seems like they're posturing that tapering may be appropriate soon, but no action will be taken at this moment. So
that means increasing rates.
yes, and
They're
tapering.
never gonna increase rates. They're just
Well, so there's the debate in the economics realm right now. Taper's been on the table all summer. They've been like posturing, we're going to taper, we're going to taper, we're going to taper. Now you have Evergrande happening, markets crashing this week, particularly during this FOMC meeting. People thought they were going to announce tapering today. Obviously, it seems like they did not announce that.
They would crash the markets if they did it.
Well, that's the thing. Like they would taper. So they have tapered before. They started tapering in like 2015, 2016.
They like barely did.
Yeah, barely did. So tapering would be an increase of rates and a reduction in the purchases of assets. Not even a reduction, but like an unwinding of that position on their balance sheet to a certain extent. But yeah, so the scuttlebutt in the economics realm is they need to taper a certain amount. Like they need to push rates up 25, 50 bips, whatever it may be, just so they can take them lower again. Like they need to create ammo for themselves in the future.
So you just release the CBDCBs, you restrict gas usage, and you go negative.
Agreed.
And then you go after Bitcoin when you realize everyone's escaping to Bitcoin.
Yeah. They're speeding up. They're speeding up. They're getting sloppy, and this globally coordinated, whatever it is very obvious that there is some coordination efforts to force people into these central bank digital cuck bucks. We are in the middle of monetary reset, and it seems like those in power and those who want to cattle herd us into that digital panopticon are getting nervous. They are sensing some urgency, and with that urgency, it seems like they're getting sloppy as well. And so keep fighting the good fight, freaks. Shout out to any freaks in Australia, in Melbourne or North South Wales, where people are hitting the streets. Get out of like, yeah, it's insane. Like, what's going on over there? Like, it's all for your safety. They're gonna beat the shit out of you for your safety. Get back in your pod so you can stay safe. Canada, same thing. Keep fighting, freaks. Keep stacking. Keep spreading these messages. We are going to win. Have confidence too. Things are crazy out there. The macro landscape is a total shit show. There could be a looming cataclysmic global financial crisis, but let's use this as an opportunity for the Great Reset and usher that in. A view of the future that is built on a distributed monetary network that favors the individual and self-sovereignty over top-down state diktat. Let's get away from that. It's time.
Love you all. Protect your family. and stay humble, stack sets.
Peace and love, freaks. Tiki! Live stream alpha, Matt. I know you're tired, but you got to get a live stream some alpha.
I don't love when you do the mic thing.
No, you don't.
There's some alpha.
Okay.
Why don't we do we got Ride or Die Freaks in the live chat. Give us a question to answer.
Well, I wanted to mention too, the live chat has been steady at 90 viewers the whole time. People are staying. It's been a sticky live YouTube.
They like the lunchtime Wednesday streams apparently. If you have a question for us, we'll answer it on air. If you drop it into the Marty, you owe that guy new speakers for what you did with the mic.
My bad.
How many dispatch hats have been produced to date, roughly?
Crack cocaine, there is no difference.
Probably like 120, if you include the 50 that are on their way to me from the freak who embroidered and that haven't been distributed.
Who is Len Sassman? Satoshi. Why is Len Sassman ring a bell?
Should you hold out for the next cold card release? No, just buy one now. Buy two now, and then when the next one comes out,
buy two
more. Yeah. The Sassman story is interesting. I don't speculate on that.
Oh, Len Sassman is a cypherpunk who died last year or this year. Yeah, very interesting story. Bram Cohen. He lived with Bram Cohen, right?
I
believe he did.
I met Bram. I liked him in person. I think the Chia shit is garbage, though. What are you gonna do?
Why does John Carvalho say reusing addresses is okay? I didn't read that thread. I just saw the tweet.
Because he likes triggering people. Don't reuse addresses. If you can avoid it, don't reuse addresses. If you have a specific reason to do it, then maybe.
What exchange has auto DCA over Lightning? A penny.
BottlePay does.
A penny every minute. Let's see. Sats are my standard. I wanted to say Sats, but it's a penny.
BottlePay offers hourly, and they have Lightning.
Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, like you just the way it would work in exchange, you actually wouldn't be like buying over the Lightning. You would.
No, you'd like manually do the Lightning withdrawal. Yeah, it would be going to your custodial balance, but they have hourly dollar cost averaging.
Yeah, River similarly. I think you can do daily. They have Lightning as well.
Full-time Bitcoin is asking what I really think about Wasabi 2.0. I think they're making very big claims. That would be awesome if they come true. But I've been let down many times in this space, so I don't believe something until I actually get to use it and see the on-chain footprint myself.
Yeah. We shall see. We'll see when it comes out and people mess with it. Do you think there would be a marketplace for plebs hosting other pleb miners that can't mine at home? Could see people trying to do it. I would recommend against it. It seems like a massive headache. You don't want to get involved with hosting other people's gear if you're not doing it professionally.
There's definitely like small group operations. I mean, look, at the end of the day, it's probably better if you live near each other. But like, I could totally see, 10 people from a meetup that live near each other, renting out a small warehouse or something, negotiating cheap electricity prices, split the cost down the line amongst themselves, and do like a co-op kind of operation.
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea. That's like more collaborative than just a pleb mailing
and trusting like a stranger on the internet.
Yeah. Even if that stranger on the internet has the best intentions in mind, and it's just there's always externalities and hiccups that you don't foresee, and that prevents you from plugging in an ASIC that's not producing hashes and producing Bitcoin for the pleb to send it to you. It just ruins relationships. You don't want that.
Yeah, it's like loaning a friend money. Yeah, but that's why, like, if you live near each other and it's like kind of co-op and people share a responsibility, then it could work.
That makes more sense.
Zorn is upset that we skipped his question. If he buys deodorant, is he irresponsibly short Bitcoin? No, I think he should buy deodorant. I think it's well worth the price.
I don't wear deodorant that much.
That much? He does, though. He owns it.
I do own a speed stick.
It depends where you live. I mean, if you live in Texas or Florida, it's like when I was in both BitBlock Boom and in Miami for Bitcoin 2021. And I need to take like 3 showers.
um, Somebody asked about Riga. Will the Hodl Hodl conference come back?
I think so. I love
I
that
think
one. It's
so.
so good.
I love that one too. Um,
This is great.
Thoughts on Alex B tweet regarding Nick Carter and
I
ID?
didn't see it.
I talked to Nick for like an hour this morning too. I feel comfortable. Like I just don't think we should be catering like to. Don't promise that Bitcoin network's going to have a certain percentage breakdown of renewable.
It's like ESG shit.
Yeah. Well, it's not like nah, it doesn't really cater to ESG. They try to project the energy mix of Bitcoin into the future, tie that with hash rate and price. And I think Alex's beef was they predict that hash rate will hit an all-time high and then slowly fall around like 2040. And he thinks that's, or some date within the next couple decades. And Alex thinks that's blasphemous. He expects Bitcoin miners to keep consuming more and more energy as time goes on.
That makes sense. Of course.
Yeah.
As Bitcoin's value goes up. This is not I guess it's kind of a question, but we had Fluffy Pony finally got released.
Oh,
He's been in holding for a while. Supposedly South Africa didn't get their shit together. Read the extradition papers. So he was released in America. He was in a federal penitentiary. I still don't think it had anything to do with $100,000 case about a cookie company from like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And I think it had everything to do with him working on, a privacy focused altcoin, and he was, Monero. It's good to see he's out. I expect many privacy focused Bitcoiners to get poorly treated by different government entities, whether in America or abroad. So,
yeah,
taste of what's to come.
Happy you're out, Fluffy. Next, we got to get Ross out. Yeah, they're going to come for us. I don't know about us particularly. I think our faces
They're definitely coming for you.
My face is too pretty for you. I have a son. I have a young 18-month-old son. I'm not doing anything illegal. I'm just expressing my soul, my being's urge to live in a free world. Is that so bad, Matthew?
No, it's not, Marty.
Is that so bad? What's wrong with that? If we can't express our intent to live in a free world and our wish to live in a free world and our desire to live in a world in which these large, incompetent, wasteful, evil governments tell us what to do, is that so bad? I don't think so. I think that's where we have to end the stream. I have a call in 4 minutes.
Love you all, freaks. See you next week, Wednesday. Remember,
I talk too much. Peace and love.